Couple more for the crew.
Think we're
Yes.
good? Maybe.
Cool. Great. Welcome to Long Story Short. We got the man Westend with releases on Repopulate Mars, Insomniac, Solo, Toko, Techne, Dim Mac, Dirty Bird, Medium Rare, so many more. This guy just had number 2 killing on fucking Beatport. Westend, what is up, my brother?
What is good, bro? Thank you for the introduction and thanks for having me, dude. I'm stoked to chit chat it up. I feel like at this point we'd usually be hungover after a show or something like that, and it's been a minute,
It's been like
more
I
than
was
a minute.
yeah, I
It's
was
been an
trying to think of
hour.
last time since I saw you out was probably October of 2019. No, it was I got really sick at EDC, Orlando.
Oh, Orlando.
So man, right off the bat, we've known each other for a long time. Before we talk about, you just had a pretty banging weekend. Before we even talk about that, let me know
Yep.
where you got your music roots from and how you got into producing house music.
Okay, yeah. It's not a super long story, but there's, a couple things to it. So, um for me, I got into music production. I never really played an instrument or anything growing up. I think I tried playing like the guitar in like high school or like middle school. Like, every boy like wants to play guitar and like be in a band. So I did that a little bit, but I wasn't great at it. I always like listened to music and it was like a big part of my life, but it was never like I was never like a musician or anything like that. And then I think I discovered electronic music in high school, like the end of high school, and it was Justice's album Cross. I heard that and I was like, this is the craziest shit ever. Like I had never heard anything like this. It was so like gangster, that album too. Like no gimmicks on it. It was all just like dirty synths and just fucking catchy vocals, big drums, like huge reverb drums, like all this crazy production stuff. And I heard this, I was like, yo, this is sick. So that kind of led me down the rabbit hole on YouTube, and I was like, all right. And this is like 2010 and 11, so kind of like coming off, still a little bit like Bloghouse days, like Lecture House days, and so I was like always on YouTube and like just looking up EDM or I mean, it wasn't even called EDM at the time. It was like Electro House. That's what it was called. So like people like Crookers, Bloody Beetroots, Mastercraft. Um, all these guys that was like, this is like the sound I loved. Even like Dutch House too, I really like that as well. So I kind of got into like electronic music then, and I was like, all right, like I want to make this stuff. Um, so it's actually pretty crazy. My high school that I went to is like this big high school in New York called Bronx Science. Like 3,000 kids at once, like across the grades. Like it's a big public school, kids from every single borough. Um, there's like a lot of like famous alumni from there. Like we have like 10 Nobel Prize winners and like Neil deGrasse Tyson and like all this, just like a bunch of famous like smart people went there basically. And one of the guys that went there is Robert Moog. So he's the guy who made the Moog synthesizer, which pretty much is like the basis of almost all electronic music is the synthesizer. So he went to my high school like back in the day. He's dead now, and his daughter donated this digital music lab. And so what it was like a classroom with like 30 iMacs. Every iMac had Reason installed on it, which is like the software I started to use. It's like another DAW, like Ableton and Logic. And it had like little MIDI keyboards. And so there was a class called Digital Music Lab where it didn't really teach electronic music, but it kind of just taught you how to like make music in a DAW, like kind of like GarageBand, but like a step up. So I took this class, and it was like pretty sick that like a public high school like offered this. And so me and a bunch of homies would take it, and like people would just get high and like make beats and shit. And it's like, but like for me, I was like, yo, this is cool. Like I'm gonna get an A+ in this. Like I'm gonna like really learn this. So that's kind of how I got into production, was through that. And then I bought Reason after that, and I was like, okay, I want to like keep making beats like outside of this. And yeah, long story short, I've just continuously made music on the computer for like 10 years. And after a while, some of it, people liked it, and some of it got signed, and I was able to kind of do it full time as a career. So that's the long story short there for how I kind of got into this.
So what version of Reason was that? Do you remember?
This is Reason four or three. So like it was actually the reason why I stopped using it was because for all the DAW nerds out there, you couldn't use any external plugins, so you had to only use the Reason stuff, which is really good. Like their synths and their drum machines and stuff, like they're awesome. But
It
I
was still
couldn't
all MIDI
download like
based too, right?
it was all MIDI. There was no audio. So if you wanted to put in like an effect, like a crash or a downsweep, you had to put it in a sampler and draw a MIDI note out. So it was like a huge pain in the ass to like work with like vocals and all this shit. And it's great if you're like noodling around, but like if you're really trying to make like tracks, it's like at the time it was like not the move. So then I switched to Ableton, and I pirate, like I was like I want all the synths, so I got like Massive and like Fab Filter, all these like effects and plugins, and I was like I'm gonna get all the presets for this, and that's when I was able to be like, okay, I don't feel as restricted. But yeah, I started on Reason.
That was what I started on Reason 2.5. That's why I was asking, and I was like,
Wow,
because
yeah,
there was, and he had like CD discs that you had to install. There was like 4 Reason discs to like install in your computer. I'm like, I don't even have a CD player on my computer. Any of my computers.
I had like a USB stick that I had to have in my computer for it to work. And I think did you do Reason with Kill the Noise?
He's the one who put me onto it for sure.
Because I remember like at the time, like not many people used Reason. So any DJ or producer that used it, I was like, I kind of like knew who they were because like, they had like YouTube tutorials, and I remember Kill the Noise is one of them. This guy Lucky Date made like Electro House.
What happened to Lucky Date? Lucky Date was dope.
I don't know. Yeah, he was cool. He made like he was like making cool Electro House and like almost like EDM kind of like progressive house, and he had like a big collab with like Zed, I think, but I don't know.
He's probably a like secret tech house producer that's like someone else that nobody knows, and like, oh shit, that's Lucky Date.
It's like, do you hear that Elon Musk song, the NFT one? It was like it sounded like one of like my friends or something, like ghost produced like a tech house song. Like everyone was hitting up Chris Lake because they're like, did you make this song for Elon Musk? Because it was just like this generic tech house kind of track. So maybe Lucky Date made ghost produce for Elon Musk.
That's a conspiracy that I could get behind for sure.
Yeah, we're starting that here.
So okay, so take us from there.
Okay, so I was kind of at the time I was like very into like electro house, blog house. Like I wanted to sound like even like Dutch house. I was like I want to sound like Afrojack or like these were just the guys that were like really popular at the time. So and like this is all I kind of listened to. So it was like pretty housey in that sense, but it wasn't like house in the traditional sense. Like house is like electro progressive stuff. And I was just kind of like making beats, not with any like idea of being a DJ or producer, but just like for fun. And like, Spotify didn't even really like exist at the time. It was all SoundCloud and like YouTube. So, I would put shit on my SoundCloud. I also was like in a duo kind of. So there's another kid at my school that was like into DJing and production. And so we kind of like formed a group. It was called C&T, Che and Tyler. And so we were kind of like doing like collabs and stuff and whatever. So I go away to college and I go to Duke, which is in North Carolina. And like North Carolina and Raleigh, Durham, which is where Duke is, it's like there's no electronic music. It's like all college bars or like country. And like I'm coming from New York where I would go to like Terminal 5 and like sneak in to see Destructo and Deadmau5 when I was like 17 at Terminal 5. So like I go to Duke and then it's like there's like no one. There's like people like EDM a little bit, but it's like there's no culture, there's no shows, no artists are coming there. So like at this time, I was also DJing, like on like a little controller. So like when I got into production, I also got into DJing. I would DJ these little like we would call them track parties in New York because the track team would like rent out these sketchy venues all around the city. Because when you grow up in New York City, you can't like throw a house party. I mean, you can throw an apartment party, but it's like you can only fit so many people in an apartment. You can't like blast like fucking big speakers and stuff. So we would rent like synagogues and like all these weird venues and throw these parties. But anyway, so I go to college. I start DJing like fraternity and sorority parties there. But I'm kind of like an open format DJ. Like I can't just play whatever the fuck I want. I have to. Can I curse on this, by the way?
Yeah, man. Dude, yeah, dude.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if it was like some Twitch thing or whatever.
Nah, man, go in.
So yeah, I have to play like I can't just like fucking play Justice at I mean I could and sometimes I did stuff like that, but like these, sorority girls want to hear like Jason Derulo and fucking whatever. So, I'm DJing these parties and I'm kind of making beats on the side. I'm just trying to like level up at this point. I'm trying to get better at production. I'm on the YouTube grind. I'm watching videos. I'm listening to like new artists. And so this is like 2012 to 2016 is kind of when I'm doing this. Um, and like towards the end, I started to like produce a lot more and like put tracks on SoundCloud. So like a lot of it was like bootlegs. Like I would just do like unofficial remixes for stuff. Like I remember one that I did was for Disclosure. They had a track called "Holding On" with Gregory Porter. Like didn't get the stems or anything. I just got the track, like cut out the bass and chopped it up a little bit, and would make these kind of like deep house, future house type bootlegs because that's what was really big at the time. Like people like Chami, Oliver Heldens, they were kind of like taking that. Big Room was dying, and this was like what was coming up. So I was like, this is pretty dope. Like I fuck with this. It's like way groovier. It's not as in your face. It's kind of got this like sexiness to it. So I was kind of like, all right, how do I make stuff like this a little bit more housey kind of stuff? So I had that like bootleg for Disclosure and put it on my SoundCloud, and it did pretty well in like the numbers and stuff.
I had a visitor. I had to let Maple Haze in real quick.
What up? What up? Yeah, so I do this bootleg of Disclosure, and it does kind of well on SoundCloud. It's just a bootleg, and then I get it gets played on BBC Radio One, and I don't know how the fuck it happened, but I think Danny Howard was doing something where it was like we play 5 different remixes of this one track, and I remember he was like this remix, Melee remix, C&T remix. And I remember like I saw that on like the radio show, and I was like, oh shit, like that's fucking sick. Like this is crazy. It's being played on BBC. And at that point I was like, all right, I got to be doing something not terrible with my music if it's getting like a radio play. Like like the mix down can't be that bad, and like the idea can't be that bad that like someone would play it on the radio. So I'm like at this point I'm like, all right, I kind of know what I'm doing like a little bit, like not crazy amount, but I was like, there's something to work with here. So yeah, that's like that chapter of my college years. And then I graduate college in 2016, and I kind of like last minute get referred to a job in New York. It's like at this tech company called Yext. It was dope working there, man. Like I played Super Smash Bros. A ton, and like got to come in at 11 o'clock, and like it's like a tech company. Like you can wear like a fucking t-shirt and shit. So yeah, I basically moved back home to New York, and I work at this company. And I decided I was like, I was making all this music for C&T, and like I was kind of doing a lot of the production work. And so I was like, I want to do like a solo project. Like it's just way easier to manage, one person than like try to do this with 2 people. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a solo project. And I already kind of had some like music and demos ready, and I was talking with people like Wongo. Like he just started Box of Cats at this time in 2016, so I was like friends with Wongo on Facebook and like Audiophile XXL and like all these little SoundCloud labels. So I had a lot of music and demos ready to go. I was just like, I just needed like a name. And so it's funny that we're rating Worthy after this because Worthy was on Dirty Bird, and I was like, all right, I don't know what my name's gonna be, but I want it to start with a W because I just like the way that Worthy sounded, and I like the way that the W looked. I don't know why. And so I settled on Westend because that's like the avenue I've grown up my whole life is like Westend Avenue on the Upper West Side. So I kind of like quickly was like, I need a name. I want to start with W, something that's easy to say. I was like Westend.
I did remixes for the famous disco label that was called Westend. Is that because of that was the same street in New York City? Because that was a New York City disco label.
I know about that label because I always run into problems. Not problems, but like SEO kind of stuff. Like you Google Westend DJ, like you always get Westend Records, which is like I think that's what it is, right?
Yep.
Westend Records, or yeah, it's like a super famous like disco, like old school label.
A lot of the big house like remixes and samples that come off that basically Ultra owns all that, I think, and They had
Yeah.
all these acapellas and stems from all those old disco records a long time ago. And they're like, here, you can go through and pick out what you want to sample. But that's a lot of reason why you hear the same acapella that people use is because they've already been cleared through Ultra. Like, I
Yep.
don't know if they bought the whole catalog or whatever. Anyway,
That's a good move on them. Like when you buy those old catalogs, because like people always want to go back to the old school and like sample that stuff. So if they're taking a little bit of each publishing or whatever, like smart move by them. But I don't know if it's from West End Avenue. West End Avenue is generally like pretty much all residential. There's like almost no stores on it. It's like one of those like brownstone like old war buildings. So I doubt it's from there, but maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I already had a little bit of momentum from like the last C&T, and so I kind of knew what to do in some sense. So I wasn't really starting completely from scratch. So I had a little bit of a head start. But yeah, like my goal at the time, this is like when I discovered Dirty Bird, This Ain't Bristol, even like you, to be honest, because I remember I followed you on SoundCloud. I was like, who's this fucker from Brooklyn? Because he was like Codes, Cody Murray, Brooklyn. And I was like, there aren't that many like NYC guys at the time that were doing like the Dirty Bird, like kind of housey, This Ain't Bristol sound. And so I was like, I got to keep an eye on this guy. But yeah, so that's what I was really into at the time, and to like this kind of Kyle Watson, Wongo, like Box of Cats started. So I kind of was just like, I'm gonna get my music on these labels. I was like a label whore. I sent so many, like I was like on every little label, like Perfect Driver, Audiophile XXL, like all these ones that were doing this kind of sound, which was like this wonky tech house, bass house kind of merge, whatever you want to call it, weird house. And I did that basically while I worked at this job. So like I would come home from work and I would just like open Ableton and I would try to like just write like a new track like every week, and like send it out to labels, get it signed. And so I pretty much did that for like 3 years. I didn't have like one big break where I was like, this song was like a huge hit for me. It was more of just like kind of consistently building up a fan base of people, using the label's help and the label's fan base, and networking. And I met a bunch of homies in New York, like Riffa and Clem Lee that do OK and F, and
I
so
think
we
I think I
started.
met you through Devin, through
Yeah, through
Radioactive,
Devin,
right?
and I met, yeah, Radioactive, and then I met Devin through Mike Mattia, who I met through Clem and Henry. So it was like, yeah, I kind of discovered like who the New York guys were that like were into this stuff, and then I think we probably did a couple Miami parties together. Oh, did you play that rooftop party in Miami where Devin's sister was like in the
Yeah, yeah,
mermaid
yeah.
outfit?
That was probably where we met. Was around that time, I think. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
They had Devin's sister got like a license to be a legal mermaid or something, and that's some Miami shit. But like she had like the
She couldn't
full.
even walk. Yeah,
Yeah, she had to be picked up and carried and put in the
I picked her
pool.
up, bro. I put her in the pool. If you look at the pictures, it's me and Che from CNT. And anyways, yeah. So I'm starting to like meet some people at the time, and so I'm like releasing on these labels. I didn't really have like a big break, but I was just consistently kind of getting better and getting some more streams and more followers and blah blah blah. I would say like the time where I was like, okay, something is really working here was I think in 2018. I was like, I'm a huge Justin Martin fan. I always will be, but like especially at that time, I was like, Justin Martin is like the fucking goat. Like he has all these IDs. He's like a sick DJ. I love his sound. And like I remember he was like, I think I went to see him play, or someone sent me a video, and he was like playing like one of my old tracks and like one of my new tracks, and like I think it was like Hard or an AMF festival or something. He played like 6 of my tracks in his set, and I was like, to me as like a fan, I was like, this is crazy because I look up to this guy so much. So that really helped me get a little bit more like people knowing me. I had this song called Party Time, that he would play out a lot, and I started to get some more DJ support from that. It kind of opened up a couple little more doors. So it wasn't like a crazy big break, but it was definitely helped me out a bit.
Was that before Croatia or after Croatia? That
I
was
think it
around the same
was.
time, right? Because like I remember that we
I
were
think it
like
was. Yeah.
that's another common denominator between a lot of the people that have been on here is that little pocket of producers and homies and everyone that were involved in that or playing it or at it or whatever. There's like, I always would talk about it in the live streams when I'd be DJing because a couple of the crew in the chat are in Croatia. And now every
Yep.
time we do one of these interviews, I'm like, oh shit, you were at Croatia too. That was like a time changing for I think a lot of us.
Yeah, that honestly, now that you bring that up, because I forget about that a lot, but like that for me, because like I was fanboying so hard about everyone that was there. I was pretty much like, I remember Corey told me, he was like, so the artists in Croatia, they stayed in like tents together. We would like split a tent. And he was like, yo, you're staying with Claude in the tent. And I remember I was like bugging out because I was like, I was like, dude, Claude Von Stroke in the tent. Like, dude, I'm going to get signed to Dirty Bird after this, blah, blah, blah. I think he ended up getting his own tent. And I stayed with Artie, which was also awesome. But I was like, that would have been so funny if it was just me and Barclay in the tent together. But yeah, that was an amazing time. It really opened like a bunch of doors for me. And I was like, I felt like I was like, oh, I'm actually doing something. Like I'm with like these other sick DJs on a lineup. Like I'm playing before Dorley at like 7 a.m. Like it was super cool. Um, but yeah, so I kind of forgot where I left off. Oh yeah, Justin Martin. So yeah, he was playing a bunch of my tunes, and basically it just got like a couple more eyes on me. And so even from there, like I didn't really have like a big hit after that party time. I just like kind of kept releasing. So I did something on Dimac, I did something with Insomniac, I did stuff on Dirty Bird, which was also huge for me because I think there's no other label, or at least at the time, there was no label in the US, like 2018, 2019, where like if you could get on that label, like you would suddenly be able to get like gigs all around the country just because a promoter could be like, yeah, we got a Dirty Bird artist coming, because they had so many fans and it was like so hot and so fresh. And so once I signed a couple tracks with Dirty Bird, then I was able to play all these like little shows in different cities because they were like, it kind of was like a stamp of approval. And that really helped me out a ton. And that's when I quit my job and I was like, all right, I'm going to do this full time because I can kind of play these little shows all around the country and,
Fuck yeah.
you know, start making some money and stuff. So shout out to Dirty Bird for, you know.
I think that was kind of like most producers kind of doing that kind of sound, especially in the U.S. I mean, I guess everywhere, but it was like everybody was gunning for a Dirty Bird release. I mean, even still, but it's it's an awesome thing and it's an awesome little family to be part of. So that is a great stepping stone until I feel like that you got dicked out of the number one. Like I thought that shit was gonna be. It went to number two, right? With Sid.
Was Jumpin'?
Yeah.
Yeah, that track was number two, which was honestly blew me away because I was like, I knew it was gonna do well because I was like, you know, if you look at Beatport, there's kind of a formula to the top 10. Like if you can check off a couple boxes, like there's no promise or anything, but like, you know, I was like this, I knew the song had potential, but then like went up to number two and it stayed there for like a really long time. And I was like,
what was that? Well, that was on Repopulate, right?
That was on Lee Foss's label, Repopulate. Yeah.
So walk us through that. So you did that with Sid, who's also a New York guy. Like, how did that collab come about? Maybe give us a little insight on that.
Yeah. So I think we wrote that song at the end of 2019. So actually a pretty long time ago. So I got connected with Sid. I think he was just maybe playing a couple of my tunes like in his radio show or something, or maybe he shot me a message on Instagram. You know, if a DJ with a blue check sends you a message, you're like, you're going to respond to that. So I was like, oh, what's up, dude? And he was like, yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, we should, you know, that's dope. I'm glad you like the music. Let's maybe like try to get in the studio and work on something. Because even then, like in New York, there's just not that, like, I don't know that many people that do the sound that I really fuck with that are
there's
like,
not that many people popping. Yeah,
there's not many. It's not like LA or Miami even. Like it's just kind of sad. Like there, not to discredit anyone in New York, there are definitely some popping guys here, but I feel like people are a little bit more into like the melodic techno sound or like deep house or even like classic house kind of guys, and like the kind of more energetic tech house stuff. Like there's not that many. So Sid is kind of into that, and I'm like, all right, let's get in the studio. So he's got a little studio in Bushwick. You probably know the area. It's like one of those. I can't remember the street, but it's like one of those buildings with like a ton of just like shitty studios, and it's like run down. He's got like a room in there.
Is it a blue?
Um,
Is the building like a weird blue?
nah, it's like right across from like a little park, like a school park on one side.
I actually met Sid through you. I just remembered that now at EDC. Yeah, and you're
I
like,
think so.
do you
Yeah.
know Sid? And I was, oh yeah, and I didn't realize he was in New York. Like I knew his tunes for years, and like I had no idea he was a New York guy. And then all of a sudden, you motherfuckers are like just killing the beat part charts.
Okay, yeah. So the story behind that is like he was like, "Let's get in the studio." So I was like, "Okay." So like I remember I was going into that session and I wasn't like nervous, but like I don't collaborate a lot, especially in person. I don't, and so sometimes you get that imposter syndrome, like, "Oh, I'm a fraud. I'm just like a dude making beats on a laptop. Like I don't know how to work in the studio. I don't know how to do all this." And so like especially like when you're going outside of your comfort zone, I'm the kind of person that's like, I'm gonna try to at least prepare so I'm not like winging it. So like what I did was I made like a little beat in Ableton, like a 16 bar little loop, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll bring this up and we can try to work on it. And then the other thing I did was I took like a bunch of vocal samples from Splice and from old acapellas that I found, and I like made a little folder so that like if we didn't like the 16 bar idea, we could go to the acapellas and like start something from there, because I just didn't want to like get in the session and be like fucking beep beep boop boop, like
Yeah,
nothing's
yeah.
coming, and it's um so what happened was like I go to the studio, super nice dude, definitely like a little intimidated, but not really. It's like chill. And then the idea that I originally thought was cool, kind of played it. We were both like, it's okay, it's not that great. So like, all right, let's start something completely from scratch. And I was like, all right, let's look at some of these acapellas I have. And so the acapella for Jumpin' was something I got because it's a Todd Terry. It's not originally a Todd Terry track, but he used that sample in like '99, and so like that's where I got the acapella from. So we kind of played around with that, and like we knew what kind of song we wanted to make before. We were like, we want to make like basically like a pump it up V2, like that Endor song, like pump it
Yep.
up. So like yeah, we were like, we want to do something like that, like a big vocal that's catchy, a simple bass line, like a little bit of drums behind it. Like we didn't want to do anything too crazy with like synths or melodies, or like we're gonna keep it simple, and this is like the formula. So yeah, we pretty much like got it done, pretty much the whole track in like one session.
Fuck yeah.
um, and then I think like from there, I think maybe we did one more session just to finish it up and polish it. And then comes like the longer story, which is like, so this is like the end of 2019, and the track comes out in this February of 2021. So we were like, we know this is a special track. It's like our first collab. So we were pretty picky about label stuff. And we shopped it around a little bit, and it was supposed to, uh, I don't know, I'm not going to mention names of what labels it's supposed to come out on, just because I feel like probably shouldn't, but it's supposed to come out on this one label, and we were all set for it. And Todd Terry's actually going to be on the track. It was going to be Sid and Westend featuring Todd Terry jumping, because we had to clear the sample. So yeah, he was going to be on the track. It was going to come out on this label. The label like was going through some management switches or something, and just kind of disorganized. And so they were like, "Oh, do you want to put it out as on this new compilation we're doing?" And we're like, "No, this has got to be like a single. We got to put it out. You know, attention on it. Blah blah blah." So we kind of pulled it from there, and we ended up sending it to Lee Foss, and I think you know I think we may have sent it to him originally, and then he kind of changed his mind on it or whatever. But for whatever reason, he's like, "Yeah, let's go with this. Like, I like this track." And Todd Terry then like was like, his manager was like, "We want a shit ton of money for this sample to be cleared or for you to use it." And we were like, "This is like November the pandemic, so I haven't played a show in like months, and I'm like about to move to a new apartment, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna give you like thousands of dollars right now. Like, fuck that." So we resung the sample, and we just paid off. We if you look on Spotify, like the original writers are credited, so like they're on the publishing side of the deal. We got a mechanical license for a cover, and we put it out on Repopulate Mars. So Todd Terry sampled it. He did a cover of the original, and because I was using the Todd Terry acapella, I can't use his because he kind of owns that. So we had to get it resung, and then we just kind of, we're just re-singing the original disco thing, and so
That's dope, man. Shout out Todd Terry too. Like,
yeah,
he's the man.
yeah, we all got to make the money too. So it's like I respect the hustle, and he's a legend. Like I was like fanboying because I was like, dude, Westend and Sid featuring Todd Terry, like that's the 2020 you didn't expect. So
That's sick. Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
We're probably gonna rate in about 15 minutes. So we'll do a couple more questions and we'll ask the chat what's up. But
Perfect.
so one thing that I always ask is what's the weirdest thing in your studio?
Yeah, I was gonna say like my studio, I'm like the most in the box guy. Like I literally just use headphones and a laptop and my mouse. I don't even have like a keyboard to play anything. So my studio is super boring. Oh, sorry. I just opened up Twitch and started playing music. Weirdest thing in my house. I just moved to Long Island City, so I didn't bring a lot of like weird shit from my old house. Um, I got some weird like fishing shit because I'm always about the fishing, so I got like just like weird scented like fishing lures that if they exploded, like my girlfriend would kill me because the whole house would smell like dead fish. So yeah, there's definitely some weird like fishing lures I got.
Let's change the question. What's the biggest fish you've ever caught?
Okay, so fish or like anything that is like moving in the ocean because I've
How
caught like sharks that are big, but not. I wouldn't call it a fish. I was just in Costa Rica living for a month, from like February to March, and I went kayak fishing like all the time. So it's like you go out in the kayak, like go fishing, and reel in fish in the kayak. And like, dude, like one of these sharks we got, it's a nurse shark, so it's not like dangerous. But it was probably like 9 to 10 feet long, like over 200 pounds. Like,
wow.
and when you're in a kayak, it's like kind of sus because the thing is like right next to you. If it starts thrashing and shit, like it could flip the kayak and stuff. So that was probably like just the heaviest.
What do you do with it? Did you eat it? You throw it back? Take a
No,
picture,
no,
throw it
no,
back, or
no, not even like that. At that point, it's so big and it's like it's too dangerous to try to get the hook out like a normal fish where you could just kind of hold it and get the hook out. So what you do is you cut the line as close as you can to the hook, and like the water is so salty there, and just general in like the Pacific and the oceans, it's so salty that the hook like it rusts out in like a week. So you got a little. It's like a piercing for like a shark, and then it rusts out. So
pierced a fucking shark?
yeah, bro, that's my new business.
The shark piercer.
Dude, I saw this video. Not to cut you off, but I saw this video yesterday of a pod of dolphins in the East River, just like you can see like the Empire State Building, and there's like four like little cute dolphins, like baby dolphins, just swimming in the East River, like going up, chilling.
That is not a good sign for our environment. Dolphins aren't supposed to be in the East River, right? That's not a thing.
They've been there before. So like the East River is actually not a river. It just connects the Long Island Sound to like the ocean. So it's like all salt water pretty much. And like, there's whales in New York. Like if you go in the summer, there's like whales near the Statue of Liberty. There's dolphins. Like they come through because like they eat little fish. So like the little fish coming through, they follow them and stuff. These guys are probably a little bit lost right now if they're going through the river, but it's not that uncommon.
I didn't realize.
If there's like a polar bear or some shit, like then we fucked up, like, but
soon come. I wish we had more time actually, but you just came back from a little run of shows, right? You just did what was it?
Yep.
Dallas,
Denver, and San Francisco.
Give us a little insight on that. Where obviously everybody knows things are slowly. Texas has been open, but everything else is slowly starting to open up. Some shows are conservative and testing the waters, and some shows are like, if you're in Florida or if you're in Texas, they're like, let's go, fucking. They never stopped really. Give us a little How were the shows and what's your takeaway from that? Does it feel like things are coming back or and are you
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, I think I'm good. So things are definitely coming back. Like, you know, and the weird thing is like every state is different. So it's like you have different timelines, and it's like you go to one state and you have to follow these rules, and you go to another state and you don't have to follow those rules. And so it's like it's not like confusing in any sense because I'm just going up there to DJ, but it's like it's a little bit hard to, especially when you play like three shows in a row like that. Like I did Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's like it's kind of like up and down, like your mood because it's like going playing like, and this is not really a good analogy, but it's like playing like a huge festival and then go and play like a small club and then going to play like an outdoor rooftop thing, and it's like maybe I don't have that much experience with that, but because I haven't I've been touring the last like year and a half, but not even that much. But yeah, it was, well, first of all, it was just amazing to play music on like a sound system. And like the first show was Denver, which was socially distant. So it was like, everyone had their little table. Option 4 came out. I know we're both homies
Yeah,
with him.
shout out Brennan.
Brennan, the man. But like, yeah, even like, of course I would love a packed, sweaty nightclub, but even that like show, I was like, this is just so dope to be playing out music and, see people dancing. I was like, I was like, I had hope and I was like, this is, we're actually coming back. Like I can get back to my livelihood because like nothing makes me happier than like performing. It's like, it's the best feeling in the world. I'm sure, you know, you feel the same way.
Hell
And
yeah.
so, yeah, that was like Denver show. The Dallas one was definitely like crazy. It was like, you had to wear masks. It was in a club. It was limited capacity. But when things get going, you can't stop the people from doing what they want. And so, it's unfortunate people take masks off, people kind of get too close and stuff, but that show was sick. I was like really riding off the energy. And the other thing is like I've been like writing all this music, I haven't been able to play it, and like even on like playing on stream is one thing, but playing it for in person and then being like hearing that like whoa, like when something happens, and like that as a producer, especially if you're writing dance music and club music, it's like so important because I can now go back and tweak things. Or I can be like, this worked, this didn't work. And so like to get that feedback was really good. I played like a ton of unreleased stuff at all the shows.
Yeah, the
The
club
club test,
test.
bro.
That's what I
You
was
got it.
talking with our friend Gop earlier today. We talked for like 2 hours. I was actually in New York City and I was driving back today, which is like
Oh
a
shit.
5 or 6 hour drive, and it was crazy
Yeah.
because a lot of people just stopped wearing masks in New York City too. Like on the subway, restaurants I went to, like everywhere, everyone's kind of getting pretty. Where it's like, yo, I don't know,
Yeah.
but that's what he
Yeah.
was saying is like, man, it's really tough to write club music when you don't get to test it in a club. And it's like really
Yeah.
hard to finish stuff and to be happy with it and to like realize like if it works or not, because that's something I feel like we all took for granted was like made this today. I just made this new edit or version. I can test it tonight at the show and really know what's up. And we lost it for a year.
It's tough, and like props to everyone that like was just still somehow killed club music and over the last year and was able to do it. And I think a lot of producers, because they weren't able to play in clubs, they kind of shifted their sounds a little bit, or at least not shifted but started experimenting with other stuff. And I'm definitely one of them because I was like, this is a good time to start trying some new sounds and trying to evoke some different emotions in my music, and for different audiences. And so like that's something that I've been working a ton on in the last year is like, yeah, I wrote a couple like clubby kind of stuff that's like maybe more expected of Westend, but I also wrote a bunch of stuff that's like different for me. Like my next release, which is coming out in April, like mid-April. Um, it's like almost like it's like a piano house record. It's like it doesn't sound like anything I've ever done before, and like I'm excited about that because for me it's like it's something new, it's fresh. I'm hoping to connect with fans that maybe don't want to just listen to like a deep bass line and tech house drums and want to hear some more melodies and vocals in it and stuff. So it's been pretty awesome to try.
Well, let us know what else what can we expect for the future? What you got coming up? You got a dope ass one that you got riding now, just killing it right now. So I'm excited for what you
Yeah.
got coming up and what's in the future for you.
Yeah, man. So definitely still riding, jumping a little bit, seeing what I can do with that, and like I said, like my next single is like a more kind of commercial piano house record. Um, it's coming out on a UK record label and in mid-April, so I'm very stoked on that. Um, I have a bunch of collaborations. Like I did a ton of collabs basically in 2020. I got one with Black V-Neck that I've been playing, not signed yet, but
Oh,
it's been yeah. I'll send you that one. It's been doing super well. I played that out this weekend, and I was like, yeah, this record's a good one. Have a record with Noizu. Uh, this guy Ranger Trucko. He's like a new kid out of LA. That's sick. We have a song together. So yeah, I have a lot of like stuff that's done, and I'm kind of figuring out where I want to put it and when, and I don't like putting too much on the books, like it definitely because I like to be a little bit flexible. So if something happens, maybe you want to slow down the releases a little bit and not have one every 2 weeks. And
I'm excited. We love Black V-neck here, and that sounds fucking awesome, man. Also,
yeah,
you
dude.
were telling me earlier, we got this guy right after his COVID shot.
Okay, so basically, after I played the show in Dallas, I kind of woke up in the morning and I was like, I may have COVID right now. Like I was like, that wasn't good because I remember I was like, I got out the booth, and then just like naturally, these guys were like, Yo, can we take a photo with you? Can I get a hug? Blah blah blah. I was like, Yeah, of course. Like I always love like talking to fans and stuff afterwards. So I was like taking photos with people and like giving people hugs, and I was like, oh, that was not good. I should not have done that. So I was like, I need to get vaccinated as soon as possible. So basically, I got back Monday, and today's Wednesday. I was like, I got an appointment for a vaccine today, this morning, and because I'm going to Miami this weekend. I have a show in Miami on Sunday
Dope.
with Dylan and Jacob Noizu. Um, I don't know why I called him his first name. That's just weird. Yeah, so I was like, if I'm gonna be in Miami for the weekend, like I definitely need to get this vaccine because they don't give a fuck over there. It's like the Wild West. So I feel good right now. Like I took some Advil. Oh, this arm's mad sore. Can't really move this arm. This one's good, but yeah, I think it's good. Moderna gang.
I've been like, man, I don't want to get it. I know I have to get it, and especially all the shows are coming now, and it's like, man, I guess I got to do it.
Well,
You're
you got
kind
to
of
do it to get into some shows, right?
yeah.
Like even like even Dirty Bird. Like I saw that's going to be the norm for a lot of these smaller boutique festivals. It's like you either have to prove that you don't have COVID right now and take like these tests, or you just got to have the vaccine. And I think like it's going to be a lot easier for people to be like, I got the vaccine. Here it is. Let me into the festival. Than like I hope someone didn't give me COVID like in the last week and I have to go home. So.
Yeah. Well, man, more power to you, and setting a good example on that tip.
Yeah, get vaccinated. Everyone, go get vaccinated.
You guys got any questions for Tyler for Westend before we roll out of here? We're probably gonna go in about 2 minutes just to make sure we get over there, and then we set everything up. This is the last couple more 8 months. Every Wednesday,
And
and I've been talking about bringing it back to my channel anyway. So I was doing 3 or 4 shows a week on here, and then until they asked me to do that, we moved over there and took a lot of focus and brought it over there. So now this is the last one. This is a super special one. I'm super stoked to have you on there, man.
I know I'm glad I was able to make it happen. Yeah, it's super dope to have this chat, and props to you for doing that for 8 months. Like this shit is not easy, and like that's why I was like I could never get into streaming because it's just like you have to be so consistent. You're in there every week, doesn't matter like what's going on, and it's like it's just hard work, dude. So yeah, props to you, and thanks for having me again.
One of the most important things about this is to me is after we talk and I cut out, I'll chop out all the weird pauses and questions where we talk over each other and stuff, and I'll put it up on YouTube, and it's like a timestamp of like a
Yeah,
time that has never, like someday we can at the least look back on and be like, man, that was one of the craziest times of like my lifetime, and I feel like even like my parents' lifetime, like this hasn't happened before, you know,
Nah.
and the way that
Yeah.
we've been navigating, and still producing tunes and fucking man having such a crazy success on a tune during this. That's like I just think that shit is so fucking cool, man. We usually ask this too is like, what you've been doing on the to kind of keep things moving when there's no shows. And I know you've been doing a lot of uh, tutoring and mentoring and stuff like that. So is there anywhere that people can go if they're looking to get lessons or production? Are you still doing that, or is that still going on?
Yeah, no, I'm still doing it. It I've done so many lessons, bro. Like I've literally probably done close to like 400 hours of lessons,
Fuck yeah.
with like over like 100 different people. So it's like that's something that I discovered in quarantine that I love. It's like I love teaching people. I love like explaining things to producers and like seeing them like grow and like understands concepts and stuff. So yeah, I'm still doing sessions. So if you're in Ableton or if, I work with like producers that are like newer to production, but then also guys that have been like on labels and doing stuff, and they just want to like tweak a couple things or get like a different set of ears on it and stuff. So yeah, hit me up on like Instagram. Like if you just DM me and you're like, yo, I want to book a sesh, I'll probably respond. Yeah, that's probably
Fuck
the best
yeah,
way.
man. I mean, I've been recently sending you tunes and being like, "What do you think, bro? Like, what? I'm just in this house all by myself. I'm losing my
Yeah,
mind here. Like, it's important, and we appreciate you. So shit, man. We're gonna go raid Dirty Bird. We're going
let's do it,
to
bro.
go check out the very end of Worthy and the last couple more of the series, the Dirty Bird series. So
Sad.
quick little
It was a good
insight.
one.
It's going to be a good one. And then next week, we're coming over to my channel and we're going to have Ghetto Blaster over on my channel. But we'll be doing the interview and the show all in one. I'm still on the fence. I don't know if I should keep the couple more thing. Obviously, couple more is forever. But we're figuring out all the branding for it right now and how we're going to actually go about do it. I'll probably ask you guys about it on the show tonight. And then I'm gonna open up for this guy, play a couple, and then he's gonna drop his set, and then we'll raid my channel, and I'm doing all vinyl set after, and maybe I'll find that jumping record, and I'll play
Yeah,
that one at
bro.
the end or something like that. Even the cover's so sick. It's such a sick disco record.
Yeah, it's I saw the cover the other day. But yeah, man, thanks for having me again. This is epic. I'm glad I was the last one.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you, bro. We're gonna raid over there. Couple more crew, everyone tuning in. Chad Lucas, Cheechmo, what up?
Oh, that's my boy. Those are my dudes.
Crumsy, man, all the crew. We'll see you guys over there. London official. Uh,
Oh yeah.
let's do it. Codes Westend collab. I don't even know how we haven't done one yet.
Have we tried one? I feel like we haven't.
We haven't. Man, I got so many ideas. I'll send you some shit. I
Send me
like
some
I
stuff.
was trying to tell everyone before is like I went through this like 6, 7, 8 months where I just couldn't write music, and
Yeah,
maybe
I
2 months
feel that.
ago I got everything just started. I was like,
Yep.
it's fucking on now. I finished building my studio, and now it's just like it's coming.
Perfect timing, bro. It's coming. Everything's coming back. You'll have the tunes ready to play out, and we'll be
Fuck yeah,
good.
man. So every also before we go, your all your handles are it's West End, right? Backslash it's West End.
It It's the West End.
It's
So
the
it's
West End.
the West End. Yeah. Instagram, Twitter. Follow me on YouTube. I'm going to be putting a bunch of, if you're a producer, even if not, but I've been doing a bunch of like YouTube tutorials and starting tracks from scratch. So yeah, if you want to learn some stuff,
Hell
follow me on
yeah.
YouTube.
All right, guys, we'll see you over there. They're 10-9. They're counting us down. We're going over. Drop some couple more in the chat with the crew, and I'll
Peace,
see you all over
guys.
there.
Thanks for
Peace.
having me. See you, bro.